Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously fascinating piece of history. We usually think that when a massive empire collapses, it brings total darkness and isolation, right? Well, we're going to see how the fall of the mighty Mauryan Empire in ancient India actually did the exact opposite. It sparked this incredibly surprising era of unprecedented global integration. Seriously, what really happens when a massive empire just falls apart? After Emperor Ashoka died, the central authority of the Mauryan Empire really began to crumble. And honestly, at first glance, this collapse looked like an absolute disaster for ancient India. You had foreign nomadic tribes invading and carving up huge territories right from the northwest. But hey, the story absolutely does not end there. In fact, we're going to see how these seemingly chaotic invasions actually catalyzed one of the most vibrant, globally connected eras in ancient history. Rather than being destroyed, India turned into this absolute multicultural powerhouse, assimilating foreign cultures and art forms right into its very fabric. Okay, let's dive into this sequence of post-Mauryan rulers in the northwest. We've got the Indo-Greeks around 200 BC, then the Sakas or Scythians at 80 BC, the Parthians in 43 CE, and finally the Kushanas in 78 CE. Basically, this kicked off a massive domino effect. Way over in the east of Central Asia, the Chinese were building the Great Wall to keep nomads out. That massive construction pushed a tribe called the Yuezhi westward. They in turn bumped into the Sakas, who pushed the Parthians, creating this wild chain reaction that sent wave after wave of nomadic tribes right into northwestern India. And the successive empires, especially the Kushanas under King Kanishka, didn't just conquer land, they literally connected worlds. Their empire stretched all the way from Central Asia right down into eastern India. Just a massive footprint. And what that meant was Indian merchants could actually establish themselves in Central Asian towns. They became the ultimate middlemen, the intermediaries handling this highly lucrative luxury trade flowing back and forth between China and the Roman Empire. Section 1. The Indo-Greek Connection and the Power of Coins. Now, what's really interesting about this is that after some early diplomatic exchanges, like Chandragupta Maurya famously trading 500 war elephants for peace, which is just wild, the Indo-Greeks left behind something incredible: exquisite silver coinage. These silver coins from King Demetrius acted basically like ancient ID cards. Before this, we didn't always have clear, realistic images of rulers. But these coins give us literal visual pictures of the kings. We see their unique headgear and their highly distinctive facial and physical features. It's like a snapshot from the ancient world. And the absolute most famous of these Indo-Greek kings was Menander, who ruled over a vast kingdom. He issued these incredible bilingual square coins. They had Greek on one side and the local Kharoshthi language on the other. Even more fascinating, Menander is actually remembered as the hero of a famous Buddhist text, where he engages in these deep philosophical discussions. It's a perfect example showing the beginning of foreign rulers really assimilating into Indian religions and society. Throughout this whole period, you'll constantly see the word Yavana popping up in Indian records. It's a term derived from the Persian word Yauna, and it was used in ancient India to refer to anyone of Greek origin, or really just folks from the Eastern Mediterranean. Defining them with this specific word really highlights the rapidly growing presence of foreign merchants, sailors, and craftsmen who were interacting and literally living within the subcontinent. Section 2. The Kushanas and Cultural Synthesis. So, the Kushanas, who were originally a Yuezhi tribe migrating down from Central Asia, left a massive cultural footprint. And you can see this unique blend right there on their money. Kushana gold coins actually conformed perfectly to the weight standards of Roman coins. Why? To make international trade seamless. And if you look closely at the king on these coins, he styles himself with grand titles like King of Kings, yet he is distinctly wearing Central Asian gear. We're talking a belted tunic, a heavy overcoat, and boots. Now, during the reign of the Kushana king Kanishka, there was just this massive surge of creative energy. Kanishka famously hosted the Fourth Buddhist Council, and with the rise of a new spiritual movement, Mahayana Buddhism, a stunning new art form was born: Gandhara art. Sitting right at the crossroads of different cultures, it took Roman and Greek sculpting techniques and applied them directly to Buddhist themes. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact cultural blend. The Buddha is portrayed in a deep, spiritual state, but notice the Greek influence in the graceful, draped garments. The artistic techniques of the Mediterranean were seamlessly applied here. You've got the Buddha with his eyes half closed in meditation, And in a lot of these pieces, you'll even find Greek-inspired cherubs and leaves surrounding the figures. It's just an amazing artistic mashup.
Which brings us to Section 3, South India's global trade.
So, while the North was going through all these political shifts, the fiercely independent Tamil kingdoms down south, the Cholas, Pandyas, and Sheras, were entering their own economic golden age. The real game changer happened in the 1st century CE when an Egyptian sailor named Hippolytus discovered the pattern of the monsoon winds in the Arabian Sea. Before this, Arab traders had a tight monopoly on sea trade. But with this discovery, massive Roman trade ships could completely bypass the Arab monopolies, dodge coastal pirates, and ride those winds straight to India's western coast. And let me tell you, this direct route kicked off an absolute export boom. The Tama region was a powerhouse. Kodamanal was mining highly demanded beryl gemstones. Tenmalai was operating massive iron and steel smelting furnaces. Musiri was pumping out sacks of pepper, alongside pearls, fine cotton, and transshipped Chinese silk. Entire cities were running specialized, massive-scale mining, weaving, and smelting operations just to keep up with the seemingly endless wealth and insatiable demand coming from the Roman Empire. So, the crucial point is that this incredible trade was heavily lopsided. On one side, you have India exporting incredibly high-value luxury goods like gems, pepper, and silk. On the other side, Rome was mostly sending back coins, wine, and raw materials like glass, copper, and tin. This created a massive, glaring trade deficit that actually started to send the Roman leadership into a total panic. I mean, Roman historians complained bitterly about this, writing about a drain of 55 million sesterces, their ancient currency, flowing out of Rome every single year. It was such a severe bleeding of their economy that the Roman Emperor Vespasian actually had to pass laws to curb the luxury shopping habits of wealthy Romans. He literally had to step in to stop all their wealth from just pouring directly into India. And the crazy part? We have literal receipts of this massive trade. There's an incredible surviving document written on papyrus that details a trade agreement between a merchant in the bustling Indian port of Muziris and a merchant way over in Alexandria, Egypt. Finding something like this is just mind-blowing, and it proves the unbelievable scale and fortune of the cargo handled by individual merchants working along the coast. All this trade made the ancient Tamil cities incredibly cosmopolitan. The Yavanas in the south weren't just passing through. Ancient Sangam poetry describes how these foreign merchants lived in specially earmarked residential quarters in busy ports like Puhar. And it wasn't just merchants either. The fortress of Madurai was actually guarded by Yavanas wielding large swords. The poems describe these hard-eyed foreigners living right there, side by side with the locals. Now, while traditional barter systems definitely still existed for everyday goods, the sheer volume of Roman gold and silver coins excavated in southern districts like Coimbatore and Erode proves one undeniable thing. Money was heavily used to drive this economy. Locals even minted imitations of Roman coins just to artificially increase the money supply and keep this booming international economic machine moving. Let's move to and see how this builds the bigger picture. When you put the pieces together, the gold Kushana coins in the north conforming to Roman weights, alongside the massive hordes of Roman gold coins flooding into the south, the truth becomes absolutely clear. From the northern trade routes acting as a bridge to China, to the southern ports directly supplying Rome, ancient India wasn't just a collection of isolated kingdoms. It was a deeply integrated, globally functioning economic machine. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question. We constantly look at global supply chains, international trade deficits, and multicultural cities as brand new inventions of our modern age, right? But after seeing the immense scale of integration and connection in post-Mauryan India, we really have to ask, is our modern globalized world really as new as we think it is? Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the past.